Welcome back to the IronSquid Chapter 2 Grand Finals, where we are about to step into a show match in Heart of the Swarm between ToD and SarenS, the French national heroes. And I am joined by the lovely Caldor. It has been a long time since we casted together.
Yeah, it's been ages. Like nearly 2 years, I think.
Yeah, the last time was right before IEM CBIT in 2011.
Berlin, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
I have to readjust myself. I'm sitting on the right suddenly. That doesn't usually happen. With Wolf, I'm always on the left, and everyone else is always putting me to the left too. So I'm certainly the entire time I want to look to my right, but there's no one.
That's fine. If you want to just talk straight to the wall and I'll just look over this way, we can pretend that the camera loops around. We're casting in a torus, he said to the math majors listening. So let's talk a little bit about the Heart of the Swarm, Terran versus Protoss.
Yeah, Todd has actually been telling me that he's practicing quite a lot in the last few days, and I think we're going to see late game from him. He wanted to go into like Sky Protoss play because everything else that he tried didn't really work as intended. He got pretty frustrated. He tried to practice on ladder, and he only met Zergs, and they just killed him. And he has like this slight problem with Zergs, which is usually pretty transparent.
Yes,
so.
the Infestor continues to be a unit in Heart of the Swarm as ToD battles on the ladder. SarenS...
It's actually more roaches. The guy hates roaches. Not only in Heart of the Swarm. In any game of StarCraft, if you give him a roach, just try that in an interview. Just be like, roach, go. He can't talk for like 2 hours.
That's a very useful thing to know for my next interview with ToD. I like the sort of just minimalist interview approach where I just say a word and just make the person I'm with mad and just have him just outpouring of vomiting of rage.
If you want to make him mad, just suggest that roaches are maybe a little bit too expensive. They should be a little bit cheaper.
They should go back to 2 armor.
Yeah,
I like
the
way. Yeah, the way it was in the original release of the beta.
Good times.
Shifting away from ToD a little bit and heading into SarenS. SarenS has actually been playing so much Heart of the Swarm right now. There's been a lot of recent changes to the Terran race, and he's logged almost 200 games in the last week. So he has a ton of experience under his belt. And ToD's been doing a lot of traveling with the tournament shifts and whatnot.
He actually said when he came back from Poland, he wanted to play like one match in Heart of the Swarm and just to start preparing a little bit for this show match because he already knew about it. Then he logs on to ladder and he just checks the ladder rank of SarenS because SarenS was joining a match. And he's like, the guy's played 100 of matches. So it's like, what am I going to do here? So yeah, he's trying to be a little bit sneaky about it.
So he logged back out and didn't play is the end of that story. In terms of the styles that we're seeing out of Terran, obviously mech, a lot of people are exploring mech, but do you really feel like there's been a huge boost to mech other than, of course, the Widow Mines are a lot of fun to burrow in mineral fields and other than that, but mech feels largely the same as it did in Wings of Liberty.
Yeah, the thing is that impressed me about Terran in the last few changes is that they, well, first of all, we have, of course, with the Siege tanks now suddenly the Siege mode upgrade doesn't really require an upgrade anymore. You just need to build your tech lab and then you can go for them right away. But Reaper changes, they have been massive.
Yeah.
And I actually played a few games and I was suddenly faced with like a lot of Reapers again, and I felt reminded of the early beta in StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
And now they changed the Reapers. It's like they cut off their balls. Suddenly they don't do damage anymore. You have 4 damage and it takes an eternity to just kill a drone. I was quite happy about that.
There's these speedy eunuch Reapers wandering all around the map. And well, it's kind of funny because a lot of the Protoss builds, especially in Wings of Liberty, assume that you don't use the Reaper, period. I mean, like the style that Naniwa popularized with the early expand, but the gateway goes Zealot, Zealot, Sentry, Stalker, Stalker, and you get 3 warp gates very quickly. Reaper just slaughters that so bad because 2 Zealots versus a Reaper is not fair. And then if you do that same build in Heart of the Swarm, again, seems to make a lot of sense. You even have the Mothership core as a little bit of additional defense. The Reaper is still so fast that you almost have to focus mostly on Stalker early game in Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah, it just doesn't do any damage anymore since the last change. I mean, they buffed the hit points a little bit from 50 to 60, so that gives them a little bit more versatility. But at the same time, the damage output is just not there anymore, so I haven't seen them use that much. I mean, I've been traveling for a few weeks now, so I didn't catch that many Heart of the Swarm games after the change was implemented, but from what people wrote, it's really like tough to use it as that Harris unit that was before. So it's still okay, and you have, of course, a very good scouting option with the Reaper regardless, but it has to be seen if the damage change was a little bit too much.
It seems so much like a contain unit.
Yeah.
You just get 2, 3 of them, and you're not going to receive any damage as Protoss, but you can't quite go anywhere. I'm mainly interested in the use of Widow Mine with the Marine Marauder play, because obviously running and kiting and being aggressive and containing the Protoss is already happening and will happen forever so long as Marines and Marauders are units. And then you throw in the Widow Mine. No longer do you have to have just the vestigial factory floating in as a scout because there's nothing better to do with it. Throwing in the Hellbats. Those can get healed by the medevacs. In the meantime, throwing down the Widow Mine production. Excellent way to just put a ton of pressure on the Protoss. Really make him feel like he can never leave his base.
I'm a little bit distracted, and for one particular reason.
Tell me.
Are we actually supposed to join the game?
We're not. We're not.
Okay.
I have that sorted
Thank God.
out. That's right.
I
In
didn't
fact,
know,
see,
and I was starting to freak out.
there's a computer here
Yeah.
that has Wings of Liberty on it.
And it's right in front of me, which was not the case the entire time. So I was just
know.
on the couch.
See-
I didn't get that info, so I was just waiting there, and suddenly all these chat windows pop up, and I'm like, am I supposed to join the game?
People typing like, "Where are you? Like, get off!" And we're like
At
going
the
on. Like,
stage.
Reapers are kind of
Yeah.
weak, and
French audience is getting like really, really angry. Suddenly there's a mob of people streaming in.
yeah, Ponfitude are up on stage. Like, what's happening on the English stream? Even Igor on the Russian stream soloing it up. He's here, but we actually don't. Don't have to do anything. Don't worry. Sitting on the right has just disoriented you, but I assure you that things are just as
Yep.
well as they should be where you are on the left.
Yeah, they basically have like now the French minutes again come into play. I
Well-
told you about this concept of time that exists in France.
What is the time concept for you fine folks?
we
at
have
home?
real-time minutes. That's what we usually have, like in the US, in Germany, everywhere in the world except for
Yeah,
France.
I mean, there's no American minute and a metric minute.
Yeah,
it's just a minute.
We have a minute. We have a StarCraft minute, which is a little bit shorter.
yeah, it's
and
like
then
2/3 of a normal minute.
exactly. And then we have the French minute. And the French minute is everything between 60 seconds and Wolf and I narrowed it down to like 7 to 8 real-time minutes. So the French minute, I don't want to even get started with the French month, but like a French minute is like a very flexible amount of time.
Yeah, it's a very flexible, hospitable. It's an excellent host minute. And I hear the countdown
Yeah.
timer, which means that we are indeed hopping into the first match.
Yeah, the French minute is over.
The French minute is done. It was about 65 seconds at that point in time. As we hop into this game, we see ToD right behind us in his exquisite caster attire, stepping into the playing booth. I don't know what it's like to play with a tie. I've never done it, but no doubt ToD is the man to show us how.
Yeah, he looked really sexy in his new suit that he I think he bought it for this event in particular. And he seemed a little bit lost this morning, but then Calaris helped him out. And Calaris having the background that in the UK he always had to wear like a suit to school, so he was the one who had to kind of do all the tie knots this morning. He has like this fancy tie knot that he had to use, so everyone was just passing the tie over to Calaris and like, dude, you have years of experience, just go for it.
I mean, in America, DJ Wheat is the Calaris
He's the
of
tie guy?
tying. Yeah, he's the tie guy. He, like my brother, all his ties were tied by DJ Wheat at some tournament somewhere or another, and Nick just brings them home tied.
You are right. I can't ever see Nick tying a tie. That's not going to work.
Yeah,
I can see Atosa standing in front of him and trying to do it for him, but probably he has terror to do that. I don't know.
Well, let's introduce our players. I
Yeah.
want to come back to this topic. In the bottom left corner from Team Root, it is ToD, and up in the top right,
We have the... Yeah, you go.
yes, from the top right, we have EC SarenS. Already constructing his wall off at the front. You know, I imagine that Nick would be the one who would never tie the tie. Artosis would be the one who would tell everyone what is going to be soon enough the most significant tie tying technique
Okay.
ever. It's going to revolutionize the way people tie ties.
Yeah, I can actually see that happening.
What would Wolf's role be in all of this?
Wolf was just standing there with like, well, I don't know. Can someone do it for me?
He would just
he's just laughing and he knows it's true.
It looks like things opening up pretty standardly. The barracks, the gateway sort of tech. I just think with all the crazy stuff that can be thrown at you in the early game, a Protoss almost has to favor Stalkers a little more than in Wings of Liberty.
What I really like is that what Blizzard currently does with all the upgrades that they, all the new updates for Heart of the Swarm that they introduce, is that they always release information about why they do it, what kind of purpose that has behind it. So you always know what kind of directions they want to go in. And they already showed that they are not afraid of changing things like rapidly. So even the Warhound completely cut off the game. The Widow Mine underwent several changes, was completely changed. And the same is true for the Mothership Core and the Oracle. The abilities that they switched up with the time warp and everything. So I really like how Blizzard is currently approaching this.
Oh,
game.
absolutely. I mean, it's so cool with the beta. I mean, in the in the Wings of Liberty beta, pretty much everything was there, but some numbers got tweaked. But I mean, especially with the Heart of the Swarm beta, you really get to see what the design process is like, where they say, okay, we're actually testing this. And some people were like, the Blizzard has no idea what they're doing. It's like, well, of course they know what they're doing. They've been doing this for 25 freaking years. And then they remove it, and the community's like, Blizzard hurt us, you know. But it's like, well, no. I mean, they understand the testing.
And the thing with the testing is one of the techniques that they use in the beta that a lot of people don't understand, and they highlighted that several times, is when they introduce a new unit, what their idea is they overpower the unit a little bit, make it too strong, and this triggers the reaction by everyone to play with that unit and to get used to how you have to micro with the unit, what you need as sort of a tech tree to go with it. And then when they change it afterwards a little bit, people are still in a position where they are, well, okay, it's not as overpowered anymore.
Oh my god, I got in the main base. That probe is such a ninja. Oh, SarenS. SarenS, in fact, in his booth, that red shade is actually from him blushing right now.
Yeah.
You know, coming back a little bit to this state in the game, I like the fact that SarenS is opening up with a kind of standard reactored factory play. Obviously, we know that the Hellion play is going to be very effective on Daybreak. Huge wide open entrance at the front. Already we see ToD getting favoring the Mothership core, Stalker composition early, getting ready to go for it. It looks like some sort of DT tech, especially with those super early double assimilators. But as of right now, we're seeing so much more one-base openings.
Yeah. The thing is, if you talk about the openings, for Protoss is actually the race where the most things change because of the Mothership core. If you play Terran or Zerg, you are still in a good position if you open with your standard Wings of Liberty style. Of course, later on you want to adapt and you want to really go for Heart of the Swarm strategy. But at the beginning, you can really just stick with your guns.
Yeah. I mean, oh gosh, Dark Templar rushing. Yes, things have been changed up. DT rushing Terran. So thrilled to see that good old Brood War style. SarenS going to try to poke in instantly. Every Terran player is going to be getting real suspicious. In this position, SarenS absolutely should continue building Widow Mines. He knows he's going to be up against some kind of early attack. There's the Widow Mines going down right now. It would be terrible to try to begin transitioning to Marauders or begin transitioning to tanks. There needs to be an answer right now. SarenS setting himself up perfect with that Tech Lab barracks, so that way he can begin some Marauder production as well without halting the Widow Mines.
I really love with the Mothership core that it gives so much options to Protoss and how ToD is already using it to shut down the scouting pattern of SarenS. Finds the SCV, takes it down. So right now SarenS doesn't have all these information that he wants to have. He's scanned, but he didn't catch the Dark Shrine, or did he?
I mean, I think at the very least, SarenS...
No, he
didn't. Well, he didn't see it directly, but at the very least, you're going to be saying, something's a little weird. I actually do like the amount of Widow Mines we're seeing at the front of SarenS' base. We see a whole slew of Widow Mines planted everywhere, and especially putting them so that they're right along the edge. Look at that one at the top side, just hugging that lip, so that way no DTs can swing in.
I love the picture of ToD, by the way. Sitting there in this shirt. It looks pretty suave.
I mean... if there's one man that in my eyes defines suave for the international community, it would be ToD. And here comes
our DT.
What? What? No! What on earth? What is going on? Dark Templar, amazing. That's right in this expansion. I forgot in the most recent change, Widow Mines do not hit cloaked units. You have to have the detection, the scan, excellent. SarenS has the amazing placement, but again, as we are finding out literally,
he saw it right away. It was really well done. I mean, it cost him a scan, but still, he was able to take down the 2 DTs, and now finally supply depots are being lifted, so he has to just focus on the expansion.
I mean, this is a little risky. I mean, I almost think that if you are in... excellent defense by SarenS.
You know, it actually looked like ToD would be able to save the Dark Templar, but with the destructible debris that we have at the bottom of the ramp, he had to go into the range of the bunker. But that was really close. So right now, still going for his DTs and able to do a lot of damage here, at least annoying his opponent a lot.
I mean, it's kind of interesting, the mine, especially from someone like me who played a lot of Brood War. You just get used to the idea that the Widow Mine will do the detecting work for you. You will be able to kill off that DT if it walks right over, but nope. And SarenS caught slightly off guard, but an excellent recovery. Another nice transition coming out of ToD.
I always have mixed feelings of the Widow Mine. What are your thoughts on it? I always have I'm a little bit afraid. You know, as a caster, you look at the game and you want to have like a very dynamic and a very aggressive game, like back and forth. That's what is really exciting to cast. So at this point, do you think that a Widow Mine is maybe a unit that gives Terran too much possibilities to just bunker?
I definitely think that the Widow Mine has a lot of interesting uses in the sort of small to mid-number range. Obviously, we see the defensive capabilities right now. We also see the Widow Mines being burrowed and the use for kiting and having them get drawn in. But they just don't seem particularly effective in large numbers. They don't seem like a base composition unit. And I'm hoping that we get to see a little bit of that, because very often when you see players go mech, the Thor or the tank is the core big meat bulk unit. And the Hellion is generally this support role to sort of cross Zerglings or Zealots off of the big threat list. But I'm hoping that with the Hellbat, we can start seeing the larger numbers of Widow Mines get incorporated. It's kind of at this point, it's really just, hey, Protoss, make sure you're cautious. Make sure you're always leading with observers.
And talking about caution, ToD is now in a position where he's going to be dropped very, very soon. We already have the Fast and the Furious Turbo Booster being used at the Medivac. And yeah, Vin Diesel definitely tempered with this unit. So now the Medivac with the drop for the Widow Mines going in, and ToD won't be too happy about that. He has no detection whatsoever. He hasn't seen anything, and the cannon alone
oh my gosh, he instantly does the photon overcharge on that Nexus, and he looks like he's going to lose the Medivac. Oh my god, the range is so far.
It's sick.
But
it is so huge.
Two of those Widow Mines did come back. Does ToD have the energy? No, he actually has to build a cannon and wait. Ugh. This is like in StarCraft 1 when that guy burrows the ling at your Nexus and you actually have to build the dang cannon.
But at least he saw it. Imagine how that would have turned out if he didn't see the burrow. Puts all the probes back.
It looks like one probe.
The one poor probe that's still mining there that got the cannon and is immediately being punished for it.
We see the long-range mining probes finally being pulled back. SarenS going for this mech mix, and thus far ToD has not received a lot of damage, but we're seeing that SarenS has had a nice, stable opening. And the unit's lost tab, not too much is down, but SarenS does have a pretty soon-to-be considerable supply lead, given all those reactors getting built.
Yeah, SarenS definitely with a lot of experience here in Heart of the Swarm, and he's already going for the composition that he wants. We have the siege tanks here, and he's even now dropping the auto turrets to take down those forward pylons that ToD established to warp those DTNs early on. And one of them is still alive, blocking the third base here.
This is a really interesting set of transitions from SarenS. Back in SarenS base, we see that he opened up using the factory a lot, getting out the Widow Mines, then building a lot of tanks. And then he just transitioned right back into the standard Marine Marauder mid-game. So he won't have a lot of Marine Marauder, which means he won't be as fast. He won't be able to split his army up, but he's going to have a much more potent army core. He's going to have the tanks and Ravens really be the center of that army.
I really love that how ToD transitions now into Storm. The charge upgrade is nearly done, so with the Zealots he can do a lot, has the meat shield there, and he uses the tech tree that he already started early on to go straight into his own area of effect damage upgrade. So that's actually pretty cool. And he has the scouting information thanks to the probe that was able to sneak in to know exactly what kind of strategy SarenS is being pulled off here.
How SarenS just perfectly slipped by that. Again, nice use of that early hallucination. Of course, hallucination in Heart of the Swarm is a free upgrade. It comes with the Sentry.
And this gives you so much scouting that you have. And back in the days when we had this 1-gate expand, or even the 3-gate expand for Protoss against Zerg, for example, you always went for the hallucination upgrade to give a little bit of an idea if your opponent is going for a Mutalisk tech transition, so that you have the scouting information in time. And that was one of the aims from Blizzard in general, give more scouting opportunities to Protoss and also just give them a bit more detection, which we have with the Oracle now.
And it looks like SarenS is taking the center expansion, a smart choice given his emphasis of siege tanks. You don't have the ability to dart hither and thither with a lot of siege tanks, so you just siege right up along the area, or excuse me, expand up right along the area of attack. So here we have the expansion going down, the push for SarenS along the top side. Great way to protect that expansion.
Yeah, ToD now. What I like about ToD's play here is that he plays really safe regarding the drop plays. We have in every mineral line, we have cannons, so he's really prepared for what's going on here. And this is something that a lot of Protoss players have been dodging for like months when the game came out. They just didn't build cannons. So now a really good measure of defense for ToD in his bases, but he's rapidly falling behind in supply. SarenS is macroing it up quite well. Third base is now ready, and here's this massive force for him. Look at that supply difference.
Forward sensor tower. Really nice play by SarenS. He's advancing forward, sieging up the tanks, doing the usual Doom push. This is what makes 1-1-1 so hard, but now it's a 3-base play out of SarenS. This angle is virtually impossible. ToD may very well just have to abandon this expansion.
He will have to. If he goes in here, I mean, what can he do? There is everything just set up against him, and those siege tanks are hugging the cliff line. Here come the charge lots moving in. The storm is good, using all those feedbacks against the Ravens, but the Marines, they're still untouched, and here comes the Time Warp.
Time Warp is going to be good for preventing reinforcements, but at this point in time, ToD... excuse me, take it away, Kaldor.
Yeah, ToD definitely here with a problem. He needs to fall back once again. The siege tanks in the back still doing the damage, and here comes the Protoss player once again charging in, and the Stalkers are still with a lot of damage. All the units now in the Time Warp range, but ToD has to move back again. He's down 60 supply already, and look at that army supply, 90 to 25.
Well, ToD needs to buy as much time as possible to get all the energy to those Templar. I mean, with the siege tanks, we do know that SarenS has to be a little bit slower with his push. He's decided to target fire the Nexus. He takes it down with ease.
He could have killed the Mothership Core as well. Didn't just yet, but now all this, yeah, everything. The entire meat shield is down. The Mothership Core is gone. 3 base against 2. ToD trying to salvage what's there to salvage, but SarenS is just such a sick army. Is going to meet up with the reinforcements, and then he can actually just try to go in again and make sure that ToD doesn't get a third.
I mean, this is... I love this pullback. You know, there's nothing wrong with getting an edge and then pulling back to regroup. You don't have to win quickly after you get that edge. Bunkers going down. This is just magnificent answer from SarenS. I have a huge lead, therefore I will build a ton of bunkers for defense. I mean, it's almost... That was the missing piece that Marine King Prime suffered from in his game against Life on Ohana. Did the damage, knocked out the third, but then didn't have any defense set up for lanes. And now we see SarenS just pulling back, scouting for pylons.
SarenS just doesn't leave himself open to any kind of counterattack. And even with the DT here, we have the missile turret, so he has the detection. All the DT sneaks by, but for how long? He knows that it's there, and heading now to the natural is not going to help ToD at all. He's down so much. He needs to kind of win a miracle engagement, and he's already taking a risk with double expanding, because he knows if he only starts one expansion, he will be so far behind that he can't catch up with SarenS. Taking a risk here, but SarenS, he will have to punish this.
I mean, it looks like ToD made the ever so smallest of pokes at the front of SarenS base and then instantly pulled back. I mean, this is the defensive setup that SarenS is hoping ToD attacks. A single medevac might actually convince ToD to do what he really needs to do and pull back and defend, pull back and continue upgrading.
That poor Zealot. ToD on cooldown with most of his gateways, and the Zealot is the only one that can be warped in. The second one here too, and they both are like being warped, and they're like, no, I want to go back to Aya. I really don't want to.
Oh!
He gets away. That upgrade is really helping him so much. Good Terran play with a lot of micro can do so much with his new speed boost.
And then we see him cutting through the center of the map. That's a really dangerous play. It looks like he narrowly avoided some feedbacks from the Templar. And up at the top side, a Warp Prism is also heading into the base for ToD. I think ToD is doing a really smart maneuver here as well with the double expand.
That Storm Drop can hurt SarenS quite a lot, and that's exactly what ToD has to do, trying to go for a place to put SarenS into a passive position.
And I mean, I do think that it's a tough call, the position that ToD's in. He lost that third base, and what do? I think ToD has played it off perfectly. Despite the fact he's behind, he's making a lot of really unusual, really hard to make decisions, and really benefiting from it.
Yeah, we have a bit of a run by, but there are already Zealots and Dark Templars here, and just look at this warp-in. ToD is now in a position where he can buy himself time. He got the double expansion, he took the risk to expand twice instead of only once, wants to get back into the game, and he's actually doing a really decent job here.
And there's the attack at the the third base. Moving in, he will get completely slaughtered. Marines, Ghosts, tanks, but SarenS walks into a couple of big storms, and oh my gosh, ToD has the supply lead, Kaldor.
Those storms were amazing. He really hit them so well, and that hurt SarenS a lot. Right now, the Terran player also lifting the one command center in his main base, and he's starting to lose production, and this is something kind of... He's losing the engineering base. No! He's losing the upgrades.
Oh my god, +1 attack is down, and now ToD's storming back in with his, 2-3, almost to be 3-1-3 upgrades. I mean, ToD is looking amazing. Such a nearly impossible position. ToD just exploiting every single thing he can and doing it so well.
He was really down in this game, and now suddenly he's 30 supply up. SarenS falling back, trying to put up a defense so that no counterattack can kill him. ToD with a double expand, A warp in the main base, the better upgrade. SarenS is now about to finish +2 armor. He's on +1 attack, but the second upgrade has been destroyed. And he's losing supply depots now. He's going to be supply blocked really soon, and ToD is attacking him at 2 fronts already.
Oh, and there's the feedbacks knocking out the Ghost before they even get into the game. You know, SarenS looked like a player who had played more games recently. He looked like a player who had a build in mind and executed it to a T. But ToD looks like someone who has been a pro in video games for almost a decade. I mean, just a calm, clean recovery, now destroying the third base. Look at the main. That army is almost bigger than the one at the front.
And ToD is just running with this. He's getting a 5th base now, so he's expanding behind it, and there it is.
Unbelievable.
GG. ToD with a comeback. Really, really well played here by the French Protoss.
Gosh, that was such a stunning play. And there's the smile from ToD. He can't believe how handsome he looks.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking about.
I mean, no, that's what I'm thinking about right now. That play was magnificent to watch from ToD.
Yeah. He didn't... Well, SarenS looked a lot stronger with the timing that he hit for his attack. Took down the third base. But from this point on, ToD made all the right decisions. He played it really well. And SarenS was playing it a little bit too risky. He gave ToD the chance to come back into the match.
And, you know, I'd say that this is a game that exemplifies what excites me so much about Heart of the Swarms. There's always that danger when you throw in a couple of new units that it'll break the game. That all you need to do is make those units in a particular spot, and then there you go. Done, easy, clean build. ToD shows, or SarenS shows, hey, here's a new way to play. Here's a new style. Gives a whole bunch of new opportunities that ToD clearly wasn't prepared for. But then ToD also shows if you make good long-term decisions, you can easily seize a game where you're way behind.
He played really well, and now we have a lead with in the best of 3 with a 1-0 for the Protoss player, for Johan Merlo. And, well, I think the guys are going to jump into game number 2, but we're going to switching it up. That's it for the two of us.
In this Heart of the Swarm Showmatch, we're going to be swapping out casters. For now, you're going to get a little bit of, I believe, Wolf Daris is the way to describe Wolf and Kelaris hopping up here right now. I'm actually going to head over to the main stage to do the French stream in Frenglish. So it was a pleasure casting with you, Kaldor.
Pleasure as usual.
And we will see you after this quick break for the second Heart of the Swarm Showmatch game.
Bye-bye.